What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the GTO that's right here behind me. If you guys haven't seen this car or haven't been following along, it is a 2005 Pontiac GTO that we picked up as a fully gutted and stripped roller. I mean, this thing had pretty much nothing on it when we got it, or in it for that matter. So we went ahead and took our heads and cam LS2, put that in here, and then put a Pro Charger for some boost. We took our T56 6-speed transmission with a McLeod RXT 1200 HD clutch. We've got some G-force axles and stubs, as well as the full front and rear suspension. We have gone over pretty much everything that you can think of on this car, from struts to double adjustable shocks, springs, literally everything, as well as some interior stuff. So if that's something that interests you guys, make sure to go back on the channel and check it out under the GTO playlist. You can find everything right there, which leads us to today's video. We went ahead and picked ourselves up a aluminum 3.5-inch Driveshaft. The one that we chose to go with has the 3-bolt flange, so that it should bolt right up to our factory flange back there. It's supposed to be rated for right around 1,000 horsepower, so we should be good for quite a while. If you guys aren't already, please think about subscribing and ringing that bell. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video with the GTO, the Duramax, or the Hellcat. Let's jump right into today's video. Alright guys, so we are down here about to go under the car, but I want to show you we got some tools out real quick. And I picked up this plug a while back. Part number's right there, and it just goes in the output shaft of the transmission to try to plug off any fluid that might leak out. We bought that back when we were doing the engine and transmission swap on this car, so we didn't make a mess when we tilted it down to get it in. But let's take a look under here and see what all we're going to have to do. Turn the light on. Now you can see that this car has a drive shaft loop. Ignore the welds, those things are pretty bad. I didn't do those, that was on the car when we got it. But now that I'm actually looking at it, I think we might cut that out and weld it in ourselves, because that thing's pretty bad. I don't know how much that would actually hold if the shaft let go. But you can see up here, it's just a slip yoke, so we should be able to slide that right out. And then back here at the other end, there's 3 bolts. We're going to try to get the 3 bolts at the differential flange back there without having to undo all the other bolts, take it out as one unit. You can see the custom exhaust that I made for this thing. We might end up having to drop that, not positive yet. I think I'm going to try to squeak it out first, but let's get some tools. We will pop that loop out and go from there. Alright guys, so you've seen that we got the drive shaft loop out of there. Wasn't too bad, but fighting around that exhaust is kind of a pain in the butt. So I think we're going to go ahead and just drop the exhaust and get it right out of our way. I made that exhaust. It's not too bad to get off. We're going to leave the headers and take it off from the like mid pipes back. So we should just have those 2 clamps right there, and then a bunch of hangers, which I've got a special pair of pliers for the rubber hangers that makes it a lot easier. And since the exhaust is still pretty new and fresh, it should come right apart. So we're gonna go ahead and do that real quick. We'll get the exhaust out of the way, and then you guys can have a much better view of what we're doing under there. So let's do that and get back under this thing. Alright guys, so we decided to drop our exhaust to get it out of our way. So I dropped the the farthest back rubber hangers already, and now I'm going to go ahead and undo our clamps up here. These are not on a factory GTO. I made the system this way so it came apart easier. And then we've got 2 more hangers right back here before the rear cradle that we'll get off. So let's start with these clamps and we'll work our way back. Let's undo this one. All right, so we've got these hangers, or those clamps loose. So now we're gonna go ahead and drop our rubber hangers back here. Not sure if all of you guys have seen these pliers made for these rubber hangers, but they make life a lot easier. You literally just do that, and when you squeeze them, it pushes that pin through and pulls the rubber right off. And then you can go ahead and drop the exhaust, just like that. So I'm going to move the camera and finish getting this one off so it doesn't just drop to the ground, and then this thing should be right out of our way. Alright guys, we got the exhaust dropped, so now let's go ahead and get the drive shaft out of our way. Alright guys, so we got the exhaust hanging. I don't think I'm gonna bother sliding it right out of the way, but we got it hanging, and now I'm gonna try to break loose these bolts back here for the drive shaft to the flange on the diff. And I'm using, it's a 14 millimeter. But these are like some sort of inverted Torx. I think they're like an E something. And I have up to an E16. But I don't have like an E18, which is probably what they are. At least I couldn't find it. I think I have one, but I don't know where it is. So, for now, I'm going to do it with a 14. If yours is still all factory, most likely it's going to come apart a lot harder than this. But like I said, we just put this car together within the last few months. So we already fought with all these bolts once. But when we put it together, we put anti-seize and or Loctite where it wanted it and things like that, so that now taking it apart a second time, it is much easier. So I took the top bolt out. I'm going to leave these bottom two in, but very loose for now. And now we will go up to our carrier bearing right here. We'll go ahead and pop these bolts out. We'll get our plug ready for the tail shaft of the transmission so that we don't leak fluid everywhere. Probably get a bucket just in case. And then once we get this dropped, we can pop these bolts out, slide it back, and get this thing out of here. And then we can start seeing what we're going to have to do to fit that new one. Alright guys, so now that we've got those bolts back there at the differential loose, I'm going to go ahead and get these started. These are 14 millimeter as well. Again, might not be working on a brand new car, but working on a car that you've had apart and put together, I definitely recommend this. I'm used to working on rusty crap that's never been apart that you're fighting the whole way. So, I'm happy with this. Alright guys, so I went and got a bucket quick and got a rag set up over there before I finished taking this bolt out, because I just wanted to make sure if fluid's going to leak, we can catch it. So, I don't think it will, but just in case. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish taking the carrier bearing bolt out. So I'm going to keep one hand up on the shaft here. Go ahead and drop this bolt. So these rubber GTOs, I think they're called, or something like that, are a pain sometimes. They get stuck. Alright, I think we finally got ours to move. Let's try it. Nope, not yet. Alright, I'm going to go back to prying on it for a minute here. There we go. Now we got it. Got it. Alright guys, so now that we got that rear section out, which fought me the whole way, we're going to try to go ahead and get the slip yoke out of the transmission. It's already going, that part's easy. We got our little cap or plug right here. Hoping that it doesn't leak fluid everywhere, but we're just going to have to see what happens. Alright guys, so it looks like the issue I'm having right this second is that with that rubber GTO on here, I don't even know how you say that, but with that on there, I'm not clearing my drive shaft loop. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have to unbolt that up here. I don't remember how I put it in. I think I did. I was just hoping to avoid doing that. But if that's what we got to do, that's what we'll do. So I'm going to try to get it out one more time. If it goes, great. If it doesn't go, we'll have to unbolt this thing and get it out of the way, sadly. Alright guys, so now that we got the stock shaft out, I figured I'd give you guys a good look at it next to the new Driveshaft shaft. Obviously the new one is a single piece and the old one is a two-piece with the weird rubbers at each end. But I think the single piece from Driveshaft shop is going to work out perfect for us. Now we're going to go ahead and get back under the car. I'm going to show you guys a couple bolts that you're either going to have to cut or grind down so that the new shaft will fit. So let's climb back under there and get this thing done. Alright guys, so we are back under the car here. You can see right over here is our pinion for the rear diff. Well, if you look up at the floor right here, you've got these two bolts, and those two bolts are actually for the seat belts. So we're going to go ahead and take a grinder and lop them down, and then I'm probably going to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to try to bring them down basically flush with the nut that's welded to the floor right here. Try to get rid of them as much as we can. So let's go ahead and set the grinder up and do that. Alright guys, so now that we got those bolts ground down, we're going to go ahead and set the new drive shaft in here just to make sure that we're going to be good to go. It should fit and everything fine. I'm not too worried about that. I'm mainly worried about the way they have this drive shaft hoop. I think we're going to be fine, but I just want to double check it tonight before we end up calling it a night. So, see if I can try to line this thing up on my own here. This new one basically wanted to fall right into place, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's great for a number of reasons. If you're at the track and you blow a drive shaft, you can get this one in and out pretty dang quick. Whereas with the two-piece shaft, every time I've had to take that one out, I feel like I've been fighting it every single time. So, really happy that this one just kind of falls right into place. You can do it by yourself easily. I'm just going to throw one bolt in that for now. And I just want to check a few things and make sure that everything's looking good. Alright guys, so we are back out here in the garage again today. I ended up calling it quits last night, but I came down a little bit earlier today and we got some stuff done on the car here. We welded up that drive shaft loop a little bit better than it was. Like I had mentioned before, that loop was on the car when we got the car, but it was like booger welded, like pretty bad. I think if I pulled on it, it probably would have came off. My welds aren't gorgeous, but they're a lot better than what was on there. So let's go ahead and get under the car and I will show you guys what we did there, and then we'll go ahead and finish getting this drive shaft installed and wrap this project up. So I took a few minutes earlier today to go ahead and clean up the welds that were on that loop. You guys seen them, they were pretty bad. If I pulled on that thing, I think it would have fallen off. So I just went ahead, cleaned it up, threw some weld on there with the MIG welder, and then threw some black spray paint on it. I think it's a lot better than it was, and now I actually trust that it won't come off of there. So let's get back to installing the drive shaft. Since we have the car jacked up like it is, I'm going to use the e-brake to hold it while we tighten these bolts up, but we're going to have to do one at a time because the torque wrench only fits that way. So we're going to start with this one. We're going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on it. If you're wondering why I'm using a screwdriver, it's because I am almost out of blue Loctite, so I had to scrape it out with this. Get this bolt started in here. Then we're going to grab our torque wrench. We have our torque wrench set at 90 foot-pounds. Alright guys, so as you've seen, we were putting the drive shaft in, and I was fighting that short socket. The round part that goes onto the ratchet was actually hitting the drive shaft. I have a set of 4-inch long Allen sockets somewhere. I can't seem to find them. They might be out in the other car or something like that. But we decided to go ahead and buy a new set, so I went over to Harbor Freight and picked up these. They are a little bit longer than I would like, but they are going to do the job. So let's go ahead and get under the car and finish tightening that drive shaft up. Alright guys, we finally got those bolts in. Not even gonna lie, it's not that big a deal, but probably the hardest part of this whole job is getting those stupid Allen head bolts in. Not a fan of those. But now that we're done with that, we can go to finishing up the drive shaft loop, then get the exhaust back on, and we should be good to go. Alright guys, so now that the drive shaft is torqued down, we can go ahead and take our top section of the hoop. If you remember, we welded in the bottom section that part bolts to. We re-welded that in because it was pretty bad from the previous owner. So we got that welded in. Now we can go ahead and bolt up this piece. And then once we get that thing bolted up, I think we're about ready to start putting the exhaust back up and finish this project off. So let's get back under the car and see what we can get done. Alright guys, now that the loop is in, we can go ahead and start putting the exhaust back together. Alright guys, I think we got all the rear hangers on, so I'm going to start to snug these things up. Alright guys, these I don't even know what they call them, donut clamps or whatever you want to call them, ball flanges or ball sockets I think they're called. They work good for something like this, quick and easy, but I don't know how well they actually seal, to be honest with you. I didn't see much black soot around them or anything like that, so I think they're probably fine, but that's what we decided to go with when we added the X pipe and made these custom mid pipes and stuff. So they seem to be working for us. So all right, I think we can finally get out from underneath this thing. All right guys, so you seen just a minute ago there, we got the exhaust hung. Just go ahead and take a peek at what we've got here. Just a way beefier all around setup. I'm super happy with it. So let's go ahead and get out from underneath this thing. Well, there you have it guys. We got the new Driveshaft shop Driveshaft installed on the GTO. The installation went pretty smooth, especially since they use that new 3-bolt flange on the differential side of the Driveshaft. Just makes everything a lot easier to put together. I think there's going to be a lot of benefits to running this shaft. The only downside for us is going to be now, instead of our Driveshaft being the weak link, the transmission or differential will be. But we will tackle that when we get there. The weather up here in Connecticut is finally starting to change for the better, which is a huge plus because that means that we can get the GTO and the Hellcat out and finally have some fun with them, which I'm really looking forward to. I appreciate you guys for checking out the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell. That way you get notified anytime we put out a video with the GTO, the Duramax, or the Hellcat, and we will catch you on the next one.